Hi everyone and welcome to another Wargame video. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Super Heavies through some gameplay. This will be picking out the good and bad points and giving some tips along the way. And if you don't want to watch everything, then I've summarized some of the tips at the end, though you're probably missing out on some of the how to do this and that. So first, I'm playing as the Finnish. All of these games are on the Mudfight map. I'm bringing in a heavy tank, anti-air, mortar, some recon and some anti-tank. And that's pretty similar no matter what side I'm playing as. So I'm going to jump ahead to when we're actually in position, because there's no fun in just watching me move everything out. As you can see here, I'm pushing up quite aggressively with the T-72, and my ally has a T-72 Bandanner there. I'm not smoking as efficiently as I could be here, but I am trying to be quite aggressive with this tank, and that's quite an important thing to do if you're going super heavy. You need to play aggressively. So we're pushing up quite hard and fast here. They honestly didn't have many units. They obviously had the Abrams, they had a smattering of infantry, mostly recon. So they didn't really pose much of a threat to us, and we just pushed straight through. Obviously they're using their own smoke to try and cover their retreat, but that's pretty much all they're doing in this game. As you can see, I'm just trying to continue pushing my T-72 forward along with the recon. My allies doing the same. We've also got a T-90S at the left side there, pushing up into the tree line. And at this point of the game, I mean, you know, this is the end now. We've pushed right up. We've got the other side of the map, as you can see from the mini-map. And I'm just keep pushing up. I'm going to try and get a cheeky side shot on this Leclerc. Doesn't quite work out, as it turns around to face me anyway, as he realizes what I'm doing. But I'm going to get a couple of shots off at it, and then I'm going to have to pull back and repair. Now, the one thing I don't have at the moment is supply trucks. My advice would be, as soon as you can afford some supply trucks, just bring them in anyway. Quick intermission. This is a cheeky A10 kill I got. Now, A10s are notoriously difficult to kill, but I managed to get my ITO-90 up there just to take it out. This was obviously coming in to deal with our tanks. He did get one of the tanks, sadly. The ITO-90 did get that final shot off on the A10, which I was pleased about, because they are so hard to kill. So now I'm going for that Abrams. Again, I'm trying to be reasonably cautious with my tanks here, but I'm not smoking. You notice this? I haven't put any smoke down. That's a mistake. I should be smoking, because if they brought in another A10 or something, my tank is out in the open. His tank's in smoke. I'm not. So I have no way out if there is anything else that comes in. And I'm going to have to reverse him out of there. Not much else happens in that game, so straight into game 2. Again, same setup. We're at the other side of the map this time. Same units. Let's jump ahead. So, positioning this side, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. This time I've got the T-55, which is a recon tank. I've got some spikes in there, in the bushes, and I've got some recon at the far side as well. Now, as you can see, my units are quite spread out. I'm not clumped anything together, because as we've discussed in other videos, clumping units together is a big mistake. You'll notice that that KRKK is visible, so I'm going to get that out of there. I've got my recon at the far side. I'm just going to move them up, turn their weapons off so they're not seen, and as you can see, my I-290 is a little bit further back, just so it's not at risk of being hit by anything else. Now I've jumped ahead slightly, and I just want to show you again a little bit of a trade-off using this I-290. So they have a nasty chopper there, which is stopping me doing very much. I want rid of that chopper. I'm getting pretty close to that chopper, but there's a stormer coming in. Now I know that that stormer's going to hit me and probably kill that. I got the chopper, the stormer got me, but my spikes got the stormer, so that was well worth it. However, that said, I now have no air defenses there, so that's something you have to keep in mind. Now at this point I became a little bit stuck. The player brought in a load of tow launchers, and I'm forgetting one very important thing here. I'm forgetting that I can put down smoke. And one of my allies is going to remind me very shortly that I should be smoking and pushing my tank up. And that is some really good advice. There he goes. So, thank you Impune, that was very, very good advice, and I'd kind of forgotten to do that. Now, I'm pushing up the tanks. I'm giving my ally with the T90 some smoke support, and I'm going to do the same with my tank. I've got a little bit of damage to that tank, so I should really be bringing something in to help with that, if I haven't already called it in. And I need to be smoking his tank and my tank. So this is now allowing us to push up against those tows. Always know that tows may have a long range, but most of the things that fire them are pretty weak. So if you can smoke your way up to them and they don't pull all the way back, then you're going to destroy them. And if they pull back, they're giving you ground. So it's win-win for you. The only thing to be afraid of when you're in smoke, realistically, are cluster munitions and other bombs and artillery. And this is probably a good reason to have multiple mortars as opposed to just one. If you have multiple, you're creating a bigger area of smoke, so they can't exactly pinpoint where your tank is. If you've got one bit of smoke, then they know your tank's in the middle of that smoke. So it's easier to bomb it, or use a smirch against it, etc, etc. As you can see, this is just a game now of walking this tank forward. I really don't have much in this position. My ally has a little bit. I have my recon tank, but that's the only recon. We need more recon up here, and my ally I think is bringing some in. And we're relying on that one piece of anti-air. Really, we need more than that. They know my smoke is going to cause them problems, so they're trying to artillery that. That's something to watch out for. Always keep moving your mortars. I'm just speeding up this section of the video just to show me doing that smoke walk forward across the map. This isn't about showing you destroying things, this is just about showing you how to move your tank forward. Keep moving up with that smoke. Sending a vehicle aside there just to scout, see if anything hits it. Nothing's engaging it at the moment. I don't know what they've got in those bushes, obviously. Let's see, it still had some units there. This is the advantage of having the T-55 recon tank with you. It's got a bit of armour, and obviously you can see what's in front of it. Chopper causing a little issue, but quick response from smoke and moving the tank out of the way. Game 3, very similar. I'm starting a little bit further forward. We're pushing towards the middle of the map there. And as you can see, we're just getting into position in Foxtrot. Just the usual, but this time they're rushing vehicles in, down that side. Now, we don't know exactly what's there, but obviously there's going to be infantry, there's probably going to be some ATGM troops. Their mistake is we've already got vehicles and troops in there. I lose my IT on 90 sadly. However, they're going up against a tank. Realistically, the T-72 is going to absolutely wreck this infantry. There are Maglans there, which obviously do a lot of damage with their missiles, but they're also not that accurate, so they're missing the T-72, which is a good thing, and the T-72 is obviously quite effective against infantry. That's something a lot of people forget. Your T-72, your T-80, whatever else, are very, very effective against infantry. So don't be afraid to engage infantry at range, even if it's ATGM infantry. They might get a missile off, but if you shoot them once, that's it. Now, longbows are a nightmare. I haven't smoked my tank, and there's a longbow. I'm trying to get my T-72 out of there. I've already lost my IT on 90. And there it goes. It's gone. That's my tank gone. So let's skip ahead to another game. Let's have a look at the replays. So I'm playing my Eurocorps deck. I'm going to Foxtrot. I'm just speeding past the deployment phase here. And I'll just wait till we actually get up here so we can talk about what's happening. I've got a VAB there with some Milans. I've got a VAB with some recon. I've got a VAB with some recon going up that side. I've got a Cryotail. I've got 2 mortars. And I've got a Leopard 2A5 there. Okay, let's continue. I'll just slow things down a bit now. So he's sending that up to scout a little bit. He's got some choppers coming in. Now we've got plenty of air defenses at the moment. This is a little bit concerning back here, and they're about to be on the receiving end. There's 2 Patriots right next to each other, not in cover, and a NASAMS that's obviously near the Patriots. Those choppers got quickly scared away, they didn't do much damage. I'm pushing up very hard in the middle. These guys have very little in Foxtrot. Now obviously we don't know this. I assume they've got loads of infantry in these bushes and anti-air and everything else. But obviously they've pushed very heavily at this side, and we have either lost everything at that side or we didn't send much there. I was just throwing some mortars on their infantry back there. Here we are pushing up. We've got an Abrams from my ally. Again, we don't know what's there. We just know that we're not getting shot at. Now here's my usual smoke walk. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit more. So again, just walking that Leopard 2A5 up in the smoke, because I honestly don't know what's in there. I'm expecting something. Obviously there is nothing there in retrospect, but I was always expecting there to be something. Our team's pushing very heavily in the middle there. We're already up near their main base. They're pushing quite heavily at this side, but they haven't really taken much. So they're dropping a Smirch or something on my tank, so it's taking a bit of damage. So immediately I'm just bringing up my supply trucks. They've not got much left in here. Being cheeky with my VAB. I know that they're sending their Smirch up here to fire. I want a piece of that Smirch. I didn't know that Musty was there, but it's dead anyway. They're now surrounded, so there's not a huge amount going to happen in this game now. But I'm going to take the cheeky opportunity to show you how much damage a VAB T20 with an autocannon can do behind enemy lines. Yeah, quite far ahead this time. We have got much further than the previous game. They aren't here already to meet us. Obviously we were at that side last time, but we were right at the front when they were coming in. They've been a little bit slow off the mark. I'm not sure why. Just going to slow it down again. Get us down to 3. And then 2. So what have we got? We've got a T-72 Bandanner coming in. We've got some infantry coming in at that side. They had nothing in there. I just sent that Vab up to have a little look. Again, just smoking. My Leopard's a little bit far forward there. Thankfully that missile missed. That T-72 is being quite aggressive. We've obviously got Milan's there, and that's gone. It's dead. Simple as that. That's the Tiger that got it. He was being very aggressive with it. It wasn't giving it any cover, no smoke, and it was pretty much on its own. There isn't even any air defense there. Obviously, Ally realized that was empty, so we started moving stuff up. We're already heading towards their base aggressively. Got all this side covered. Pushing up in the middle as well. That's all they've got there. They've got hardly anything. They've got this well defended, but that's not really going to help them at this stage. So we'll just speed up things to 4 times. I've got a 91 came in there. I was expecting a T80 or something, but 91. I just try and get a sneaky side shot on it. Doesn't really help. And they're now bringing in planes. That one got shot down, but I'm obviously quite concerned about that. I've pulled it back to where my ally has supply truck. And I've called in my own supply trucks. Need to get that repaired. It's the most important thing because it took quite a lot of damage from all that. Need to keep it smoked. Remember to keep moving these. A good enemy will also destroy your mortars if they're smoking, if you're not moving them. You know, sometimes people will only go for them if you're attacking them, but you know, in this situation, that Leopard is the front line. If you kill that Leopard, everything else might crumble. So you've got to defend it, and equally, they've got to stop you defending it. So if you come up against an enemy who is using mortars, you want to destroy those mortars to stop it smoking. So they've got a Wilk there. They've got 1 unit over there. I assumed they had more over there. Just letting the Leopard pick off little vehicles. Being very careful because they have a lot of aircraft. The Milans are going to finish off that Wilk. And the tank got the shot in. So here we've got a player who's already smoking. They've got 3 mortars. They've got a T8 they're smoking quite heavily. I've got an ally here with a Challenger 2. I've got a Tunguska, not much else. Basically a Tunguska, the T80 and some recon and all those mortars. And I tell you what, those mortars are so annoying. They're what's holding us back here, and also the fact that I'm not being aggressive enough. It's a big issue in this game that you can get very bogged down with holding a defensive line. We have 3 anti-air units there. We have plenty of scouts from quite far up, even if they are trying to kill my commandos para. We could be pushing up harder. There's no reason we shouldn't be. It's just that fear that something's there. But I could be walking this tank up with smoke without any fear. Those mortars pose no threat to that tank. Even if they've got missiles, it poses no threat to that tank. He's trying to be scary with that tank to stop people going for those, but my tank made short work of them. We have these lovely Apaches and longbows here, but that Tunguska is keeping them at bay. And it's just that fear of not knowing what's there. Again, I could be being much more aggressive with this Leopard, and I'm not being. I've got scouts here, I've got scouts here, I can see their tank. There's no reason I shouldn't be further forward. Let's speed this up a bit. Tunguska's taking shots at those Apaches and the longbow. He's now bringing in more stuff, including conkers. He's being quite aggressive against that Challenger 2 because he can see it. I'm in two minds. I would smoke him as an ally, but some people don't want to be smoked, so it's a balancing act. And you see, I've lost that opportunity to be very aggressive because now the conker's here. And I'm not doing the little trick which is dipping in and out the smoke, in and out the smoke, getting the conkers to launch their missiles and then miss, launch the missiles then miss. And now there's another T-72 come in. There's another big tank and a lot more mortars. Again, I could have been a lot more aggressive here. I'm smoking further forward and I'm not moving my tank. And I should be. I'm trying to repair everything with these. Again, I could be being very aggressive. And that guy right here says, why no push? And in fairness, now it would be more difficult. But it would have been, you know, easier earlier. We should have pushed straight away. Sometimes you have to back away from having that fear and just accept you need to attack. Again, a team that's been quite aggressive with aircraft. We do have air defences. I should be moving this Croytail further forward. Look at that, our tanks are right up there now. He's getting a bit overzealous with that Challenger 2. And took side shots from these guys who have a high AP damage. And I'm taking less damage, managed to kill that tank, but again I'm taking heavy damage. I need to back out and I lose that tank because although I backed out correctly, I didn't smoke it. I should have smoked that retreat. So it's just the usual, it's the T-72 that I'm bringing in. Let's just pause there, slow things down to 2. So they've come in with a lot of choppers basically. I've got a Tiger there, Strop 2's hitting that. My ITO-90 is pushing forward and being quite aggressive. They're bringing in a lot of infantry and things. They've got a longbow there, they've got a Tiger, they've got a McCarver. Now, my mistake here is, look, there's some Maglans there. And they can see my units. That's in cover and it's not hidden. And their Maglans immediately kill that ITO-90. I've now lost my air defense. We have the Strop 2 there and that's it. And the Strop 2 is damaged. So this longbow now has free reign. My T-72 has to pull all the way back. I cannot afford to bring in another ITO-90, they're expensive. I'm having to then bring in man pads, which aren't the same, they're not as efficient. And the issue is that he now has free reign with that longbow. The Strop 2 will eventually push up and get it. So I'm now hiding my tank. I could smoke it and push it, but I'm genuinely terrified of those choppers. Because they will easily kill that tank. Especially a longbow. So I'm going to speed this up a bit just so you can see what happens. I mean, we're losing the other side of the map. We're losing the middle of the map. Just continue to push up slowly. There's that longbow again coming in. The longbow's dead. So now being a little bit more aggressive, pushing up. It's going to speed up again because not a huge amount is happening. It's just units pushing forward. Now they don't have a lot here. Most of their stuff is over here. I think we could be pushing more aggressively, but it's just that lack of anti-air that is causing the issue. Again, they've not got a lot here, you know, AMX-10s. They've got the McCarver coming back up. We've managed to push quite heavily into here. This guy has done a good job there. But again, where's my tank? It's back here. My tank is back here because I have that fear. It shouldn't be back there. It should be up at the front smoked. Tank's almost dead. I'm reversing it all the way back to repair it. But, you know, we're losing the other side of the map. They're being very aggressive now with those aircraft and hitting me with cluster munitions. So my tank, which should be up here, is now all the way back here. So hopefully watching those games and replays with me and me talking through what went well and what went badly is helpful. I think I've talked about a few different tips as we've gone through those games. I think to summarize those tips, at the start you're going to need something that's smoked, preferably mortars. Probably having 2 mortars is better than 1, so you can smoke an area which will throw the enemy off as to where in that area the tank is. If you just have 1 mortar smoking 1 point, then they know exactly where that tank is in that smoke, so it's more at risk from a bomber or a bomber with cluster munitions. It's important to have good anti-air with you, at least 1 unit from yourself and at least 1 or 2 units from an ally. You're going to also need plenty of recon. Recon allows your tank to see targets. Without recon, you're dead in the water. I quite often just use infantry recon, especially on this map because of the bushes, but I have seen vehicle recon used extremely effectively as well, so do not underestimate that if you feel you can keep it alive. The next thing to say is you need to be aggressive. You have a big super heavy tank that can take 3, potentially 4 shots at range. Obviously it's going to take a lot more damage closer range, but when you're at max range you're going to be taking less damage. You're going to take 3 or 4 shots before you die. You need to be being aggressive. You need to accept that you're going to take a couple of hits. So within that you also need to make sure that, if not at the start of the game, as soon as you have enough points, you're bringing in supply trucks and keeping them back behind the lines so that you can rearm and repair that tank. Now, a few other little tips and tricks. Use your smoke to waste enemy missiles. The ATGM units and tows and everything else will sit back, and as soon as your tank pops out they will fire. Let them fire and then reverse your tank back into the smoke. You're going to have to be quick, it's going to have to be careful maneuvering of your tank, but it will cost them missiles. And if you can run them out of missiles, then your tank is safer pushing forward and you're making them spend money on bringing in supply trucks. Also at that stage, remember that most of these ATGM squads are 2-man squads. A single hit from a tank will usually kill that entire squad, so don't be afraid to take a single missile in your front armor to kill that squad. You can repair, that squad's dead. And in a similar vein, being aggressive here with your smoke helps. You can get up close and personal to enemy ATGM troops, enemy ATGM vehicles by smoking your way up to them. They can't see you, they can't damage you, and once you're right up close to them, they're going to die in a single hit. Another little trick that I've not really used much myself, but I have seen other people use it against me, is that you can tease out enemy aircraft. So you send your tank out the smoke slightly, you get ready to move it back into the smoke, you have lots of air defense, they send out their Peace Rhino or their other ATGM plane, you're back in the smoke, that plane's over your tank, and it's too late, that plane is blown out of the sky. Obviously that means having your air defenses fairly far forward, and that's perhaps another point to say is when you're being aggressive, be careful about how aggressive you're being with your anti-air. Do not move it too far forward like I did in that previous game where the Maglands took it out. That was me overextending that AA without knowing what was in front of me. So in summary, smoke, AA, recon, be aggressive. Simple as that. Those are the main things you need to stick to push those super heavies forward. Obviously I'm no expert with super heavies and I'm just learning myself, and hopefully you can see as I've gone through those games I'm slowly improving and using the tactics that I'm talking about here more and more myself. Hopefully this video has been helpful. Please do let me know down in the comments below if you found it helpful. If you have any other tips you'd like to give people, it's always nice to see other people giving tips as well. As always, please do like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon for another Wargame video.